Okay, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, coming at you with another banger. So today we are going to be talking about lures, and more specifically we are going to be talking about some lures that I've been using just recently, and I've actually recently got them. So recently I've been browsing the internet, looking up different lures. I always like researching different lures that will help me to catch bigger fish, and I happened to stumble across a few different types of lures that I have seen people have been catching a lot of good fish on. So I decided to get my hands on them and test them out myself, and they have been working phenomenal. One thing that I'm always advocating for people to do is to try something new that you've never tried before. Put down the confidence bait that you always use, try something different, because you never know what can happen. And in this case, I've been catching some good fish on these new baits that I've been trying out. So for those of you that have been watching my channel for any amount of time now, you know that I absolutely love live target swim baits and the live target lures in general, just all of them. And I've always been, I always fish every time I go out to the jetty, or if I go on the docks or whatever, I'll be fishing the live target swim baits, sardines, mullets, or whatever, and I have very good success with it. And now I've come to try out different baits to target a lot bigger fish. And one thing that I always lacked in my tackle box was having bigger presentations that will eliminate smaller fish. And that's what I've been doing recently, and I'm not used to throwing these giant baits and not getting as many bites, but when you get a bite, it's a big and it's a nice fish. So that's one thing I've been working on, and I have now developed confidence in some of these lures. So I'm going to show you guys these lures real quick, and some of these lures are specifically for bigger fish and some are not. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first brand of lures we have on the list is the Voodoo Mullets. This is a brand that I recently started getting, and as far as I'm concerned, if you guys haven't checked out my last saltwater video at Fishing the Jetty, it catches fish, and I've hooked a few big fish on this, and something nearly spooled me on my 3,000 fishing reel, and I had this little tiny swim bait on, and it was pretty insane. So actually I had 3 of these, but the one that I lost that big fish on was on the silver streak, and that was like a mullet silver color. And this one that I have here is called Injured, and I forgot the name of this one, but these are really awesome swim baits. They're made with really tough material, and it's a ribbed swim bait, and they are made with woven Kevlar. So that's what helps these lures to last longer for you. Okay, so the next big fish bait that I've recently bought, but I've had these lures before, but just in the single size, are the Hoya Pro Tails. And I've been seeing a couple videos and pictures of these Pro Tails, and they catch fish, and some big fish too. Big tarpon, big snook. It puts in work. So originally I have these tiny ones here. These are the 4.5 inch. This one is olive, 4.5 in white bone color, and 4.5 in the silver mullet color. So recently I decided to buy their bigger sizes, and their biggest size is the 6.5 inch swim baits, and I bought these 2 swim baits right here, as you can see. So this one right here is the 6.5 inch 2 ounce in olive color, and this one is the 6.5 2 ounce in, I forgot the name of the blue, but it's the blue one with the grayish color at the bottom. And these things have been putting in work. This one could resemble a sardine or anything of that nature. Anything big that's swimming, they'll eat it. And in my last video, I was able to land a really nice snook. I estimated that snook was maybe like 34, 35 inches, and I was able to land that snook on this specific bait. As you can see at the top right there, it's got some damages. So hopefully I can put these into work in the future, and I'm going to be talking more about these baits later on in today's video. So this is a bait that was recently released by Ketch Co. So if you guys haven't heard of their company, they created a bull shad swim bait. So this is what it looks like right here. Still have it in the package. It is a bull shad swim bait, hard swim bait, and this is supposed to imitate mostly for freshwater, but one thing I really got this for, I really wanted to test this thing in salt water for snook and possibly tarpon, because 100% positive this thing will put work in the salt water, and I will use this for freshwater as well, but mostly salt water. So I'm going to be going over each of these baits in more specific detail than what I did just now. I just quickly ran in through you guys what I got each bait for. But now I'm going to talk about prices, I'm going to talk about how to fish these baits, things of that nature. So let's get right into it. And I really hope you guys enjoy this one because I've been trying to do these different videos where I'm talking about the lures I'm using, because I've been doing lure fishing more often now than live bait fishing. Before, I used to do a lot of dead bait on bottom, live bait fishing, and that does have its applications, but catching a nice fish on a lure is very rewarding, and that's the reason why I'm testing out these new baits, and they've been working great. So let's get right into it. So first bait we got on the list is the Hoya Pro Tail. As of right now, these are by far my favorite big fish bait right now, and the reason is they catch big fish. And I've been using this specific color. This one is the olive color, and this is a 6.5 inch 2 ounce. And what I've been doing to fish these is I've been fishing with this on my Spinfisher 4500 on my 8-foot power stick. You need a rod that's going to be able to cast these heavier baits. This is a 2 ounce bait, it's not a light bait. So if you got a lighter setup, you may not be able to throw these things because your rod's going to have too much bend and you're not going to be able to get a good cast with it. So I always recommend to get a very nice sturdy rod, and plus you're fishing with a bigger bait, you're going to have a better chance of catching a bigger fish. You're going to need something a little bit more sturdy than a light tackle setup, say for peacocks or for largemouth bass or small snook like that off the beach. You're going to need something that's got backbone, that's got line capacity and power to turn that fish and stop that fish and get him out of structure if he does decide to head into structure. So the setup I'm running right now is a very awesome, well-balanced setup for what I'm doing, because I can cast it all day with this big swim bait on and not get tired at all. And so the one thing with the Hoya Pro Tails that I've been doing, fishing in the area where I know that these fish are staged up in, and what I was doing is I would cast, and as soon as the lure hits the water, I would let it sink down, touch bottom, and then I would just start slowly cranking. And that's what I would do. And as the lure gets closer, it's going to go up in the water column, and it's going to go up higher. So what I noticed with that fish, he hit around mid column, and so this lure sinks pretty fast. So if you keep it at a nice steady retrieve, it's going to stay in that mid column and it's going to roll real nice in there. And the key with these lures, make sure you use a loop knot, or if you're using a tactical clip, you just put it straight on, you'll have a loop right there. But definitely you want to tie a loop knot, because when these baits are swimming, it's going to have a wobbling action like this. When that tail is moving, it's going to have a wobbling action. I don't remember the prices, to be honest. Let me just look these prices up real quick for you guys, because I want to make sure it's accurate. Okay, so for the 6.5 inch 2 ounce, those are going to retail you at $7.99 a piece. And that honestly really is not a bad price considering the durability of these things. This stuff is made with a very durable, hard plastic, and I've gotten a couple hits on this one, and it's still intact. There's no rips on it or anything like that. So we're gonna see how many fish it actually takes to break this thing, because I've hooked a couple fish on this already, and so far haven't had any issues with those at all. Oh, so this one, okay, so I got the right name. So this is actually called a blue herring, and you can see why, because with the blue. I want to show you guys the size difference of these lures. So I have two olive colored Pro Tails right here. So you can see this is the 6.5, and this is the 4.5. I believe this is actually a 4 inch. Actually it might be 4.5 inches. So you can see the size difference of these things. Pretty big size difference. It's about a little over half of the length. Right. Okay, so these are the 4.25 inch Pro Tails, and these will run you at $5.99 a piece. So I had bought 3 of these at the time in different colors, and I actually haven't fished these sizes as much, and I'm now fishing with the bigger Pro Tails more often than I'm fishing with the smaller ones. So the smaller sizes will run you $5.99, and the bigger ones will run you $7.99. So these come in actually a variety of sizes, which is pretty good. So they have a 3.5 inch, 4.25 inch, 4.75, 5.5, 6.5 in the Pro Tails. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the Voodoo Mullet, and now these are a new bait that I recently got into, and these are absolutely phenomenal baits. So the Voodoo Mullets will run you anywhere, depending on where you get it. I got mine off of Amazon, and I got them for around $9, somewhere around there, almost 10 bucks. And then free to ship if you have Prime or if you spend over 25. You guys know how that works. So the one thing about these baits, as you can see, it is a ribbed swim bait, and it's pretty tough. I tried pulling on this and it just doesn't come apart. It's made with Kevlar lining, so that way it doesn't break. And the plastic, I actually don't know what kind of plastic it's made out of, but they say that you're not supposed to mix this with other types of plastic. So like my Pro Tails, if I mix this with the Pro Tails, it's gonna ruin every single soft plastic that I have in my box. So I don't know what type of material it's made out of, but they said not to mix it with anything. But you could see that the rib swimbait and the action on this is absolutely insane, and I could see why fish actually love it. And they put a really nice big treble hook at the bottom. You have an option of switching it to an inline if you want. It's totally up to you. Inlines are usually better, but for right now I'm keeping the treble on. And I hooked that big fish on the Voodoo Mullet, and I had my drag locked down, and he was staying pinned, didn't come off at all. So these hooks are pretty solid. They don't break. As far as I'm concerned, I've hooked some big fish on it and haven't had any issues with the factory stock hooks on the Voodoo Mullets, which is also a good thing. And these actually come in 3.5 inch and 4.5. I know that they come in 5.5, but I couldn't find them anywhere. I tried getting 5.5 because I wanted to get a bigger size, but couldn't find it. But these 4.5 inch Voodoo Mullets do some crazy work on those fish. So definitely check these baits out if you guys get a chance. If you get your hands on one, definitely do it. I highly recommend. So the next bait we got on the list is the bull shad. Obviously, this is the last bait that I'm going to be talking about. So this is from Ketch Co, 3.75 inch, and this is made with you see that there's little wires going in and out of it, and that's what makes it swim like this. Versus the Voodoo Mullet, which is actually all soft plastic. This is made with metal and hard plastic. So it's obviously going to last you way longer versus the Voodoo Mullet because it's got hard plastic. And what's cool about this, the tail is actually made with like a synthetic material, and it's shaped like the tail. So it's not made with a hard tail. It's actually made with a fluid tail where it moves around. So that's pretty cool. But really awesome bait. This one also comes in a variety of colors you can check out. But I decided to get white because it's a very universal color, and most bait fish are very close to the color of a white pattern, and that's why I wanted to get it and try it out in the saltwater. So I'm probably going to just take this treble hook off, put an inline single at the bottom, and we're going to be good to go on those big fish. And the only thing about this one, it is a little pricey. It is up there. It's $15 a piece for these versus the Pro Tails and the Voodoo Mullets, which are $10 and $7.99. So these are a little bit pricey lures, and so we'll test it out and see if it actually lives up to the name. I've been seeing some very nice fish being caught on these, but one thing I haven't seen is people actually trying them out to use them for snook. Maybe people have caught snook in it, but I haven't seen any pictures or videos yet. So that's what I'm going to do with this bait, and we're going to test it out on something a little bigger than a bass or a peacock. But this is a killer lure for peacocks and bass. As you can see, just perfect shad imitation right there. Very nice looking lure. So that's a wrap for today's video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoy this one. I always like to showcase the lures that I'm using because that's what's helping me catch big fish and nice fish. So I want to share that information with you guys, and you guys can go out, buy the lures, try it yourself, and you can get on some nice fish. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Leave a like if you liked the video, comment down below if you have any questions or concerns for me, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, if you're new to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.